Hi, I'm David Partika. I created CSSBurner as a rapid optimization tool for CSS. Now today I'm going to show you how to use the Beautify functionality, and by Beautify what I mean is formatting your CSS to make it more readable and more easily followed by anyone who's trying to read through your style sheet. So there's a standard set of formatting rules, but the Beautify function here allows you to tailor exactly how you want your CSS to be formatted. So to get started, let's paste into the text area. I had already a style sheet that was pre-populated, so it's about 770 kilobytes roughly. And so to begin, we click on the heart icon for Beautify CSS. And right now we only have the style sheet type of CSS available to us. Now let's click on these drop down arrows so that we can reveal some options. Now the first set of options has to do with the number of white spaces that we could add to format the code to look however we wanted to. Now the first option is colon padding white spaces. So this is in a property value pair, something like display none. So the number of spaces that follow the colon. So for example, display colon, and then do you want zero white spaces, or do you want 1, 2, etc.? We could change this right here. And I think I set a maximum of 4. Okay, so let's put that as 1. Number of function padding white spaces. So this is for any CSS function, such as a selector, pseudo class type function. For example, the not pseudo class, which allows one to pass arguments. So that's the white space padding on the inner side of the parenthesis. Or it could be for a property value function. For example, the URL function, say in background image, or the linear gradient function, and every other function that's available through CSS. So let's keep that also at 1, although we could change this number, have that set to 5, and as a maximum. Okay, there we go. Now, the number of tab indents. This refers to when there's a new line and to tab indent the properties, for example, say, or a new declaration block. Say if you have a declaration like div display none. So the display none will be tab indented, and this refers to the number of tab indents there. So let's keep that at 2 to make it very obvious. That is to make the formatting very obvious. And let's go to data management. And we see here that some of the possible options are grayed out. They're disabled because you need to be logged in and subscribed to the mailing list to get the rest of the options, such as a tracking name, outputting as .css. By default, a downloaded file, a beautified file, will be .txt, or the use of a custom file name. By default, the file name will include a timestamp, but then using this option, if you had logged in and subscribed to the mailing list, then this option would be lit up and allow you to name the file whatever you want for your tracking purposes. Email, this is actually going to be for premium users later on, so let's just skip that right now. Now, of course, your input might be a file, but in our case, it's not. We already pasted something into the text area, and the output can either be downloaded, which is the default, or can be output to the screen. So I've chosen output to screen, so let's see what happens when we beautify. It should just take a fraction or a couple fractions of a second depending on the file size, maybe a couple seconds if the file size is very large. So let's do it. And in this case, it's going to be a couple seconds. CSS has been formatted. And so what we see, again, let's go through everything that I mentioned. So colon padding, we see here that after the display inline block, so after the colon there, we see that there's one white space for readability purposes. Now in the next rule here, in the selector, we have a padding white space for the not pseudo class. So we chose 1. And then the number of tab indents here we see was 2. So if you notice when I'm highlighting, first highlight, that's 1 tab, and here's 2 tabs. So pretty simple functionality, however, very useful for readability purposes, especially if you're on a team and doing this, for web development as part of a team effort. And that is the core of the functionality there. Now, there's some additional options in a menu here with this ellipsis. So if you click, what we see is that you could, if you wanted to, you could zoom in. So if we click a couple of times, we see that the text gets larger. Of course, we could also go back to what we had. Okay, and I believe that was the original setting. Now, for some reason, if you wanted to print this, you could, using the print option here, and this would go to a print window. You could also select all of the output and copy it to the clipboard if you wanted to scan, let's say, after this. And then, of course, you could reset CSSBurner, and if you had premium access, you could email the results to a coworker, say, or a supervisor. Now, select all and copy. Let's just use this right now. Click it one time, and this is pretty big here, and I just want to show you that, in fact, all of the, see, I'm scrolling down, all of the markup has been selected, and just something caught my eye here. Just for emphasis, I want to show you that for nested content, for example, at media, see right here, for this this whole declaration block, you see that the nesting is carried on with the tab indents so that it's easily readable as far as the inner rules and then the parent, at media rule here. But anyway, and that would be for any nested rule. And if you had nested, it would also propagate as well. But anyway, back to what we were doing. Select all and copy. So you see that everything was copied and selected and copied. And then what you could typically do is say reset CSSBurner, and you could now just paste it. And because we've beautified, now is a larger character count. Here before it was 770 kilobytes, and then we could scan this if we wanted to. So anyway, that's the Beautify functionality. Again, making code more readable, especially useful if you're coding as part of a team effort, and it just makes the CSS much easier to follow. So if you found this useful, please give it a thumbs up. And if you have not already subscribed to the Optimized CSS channel, please do so, and look for some more helpful tutorial videos in the not so distant future.